born a stone's throw away from Main Road. He's a content creator, and of course, he's your fellow legend on the club because you guys are absolutely smashing it. Good friend of ours, Boovy. How are we, Boov?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yes, not bad, my friend. Quick one, just off the cuff. Better captain, Steven Gerrard or Jordan Henderson?
I can't believe you were debating it. It's obviously Steven Gerrard all day long.
As a captain, Boov, not as a player, strictly through the lens of being a captain.
Of course.
Really?
Jordan Henderson, I think he led by example. I think he was a teacher's pet. I think Gerrard he led by being a world-class player. It's a whole different ball game.
I know what you mean by teacher's pet. I can see that in Jordan Henderson. He definitely, at the end, is like, I'll get the cones in, gaffer. Who needs oranges? Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, though. You need those players. Could be the mouthpiece of the manager on the pitch.
Yeah, a little bit. But sometimes you'd be like, remember that? What was that the cartoon, Recess? And
Yeah.
The one that hangs around with the headmistress.
Yeah, I remember the fella. Yeah.
Randall, that's it.
Randall, yeah.
So there's a little Randall in there. Right, we've been talking about Manchester City. Mahrez is leaving Manchester City for Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about that, first and foremost?
I think it's the right time for him to leave. He's obviously won 5 Premier Leagues.
Just a few
in England. Obviously, PFA Player of the Year for Leicester City. He's achieved everything you can achieve as a footballer. Now he's 32 years old. He's being given an unbelievable amount of money. I just hope when I'm 32, I get the same kind of move. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. But look, City have to move on. We have to progress. And ultimately, a 32-year-old, however good he is, if you can get money for him now, 30 million quid, it is fantastic business.
Boov, you're talking about it being the right time for him to move on. It feels to me like you're talking about him as if he's 36. He's just won a treble and he's 32. It doesn't necessarily feel like that's the obvious time to move him on to me.
Yeah, he didn't start either final, and that's not to discredit his role in the treble last season. He obviously scored a load of goals, and he's a massively important player. Even in the road, on the road to get into our first Champions League final against you lot a few years ago, he was massively important. But again, look, we spent a load of money on him to get 30 million quid back after the service he's provided to the club. I think it's a no-brainer. Whether the player comes in right now ready to replace him, we've been linked to Rafinha from Barcelona. Please, I'm praying tonight that doesn't happen. I really don't think he's good enough, in my opinion, for City. But we won the Champions League without Riyad Mahrez starting the game. With all due respect, it was Bernardo Silva. I'd take all that money. I'd give 30 million quid to Bernardo Silva right now. That's what I'd do. Keep Bernardo Silva. If we get an extra midfielder in, fair enough. But I think it makes a lot of sense.
Do you think you could convince Bernardo Silva to stay? Why does he seem so hell-bent on leaving City at this moment, Boov?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's a beautiful part of the country. You're playing for the best manager in the world, the best set of fans, the best team. Obviously, I get going to Paris. There is no comparison. It's a beautiful city, the Eiffel Tower, etc. But if you go to Saudi Arabia, it'll be one of the biggest, most crazy transfers I've ever seen in football, because this guy he's borderline the best player in the world on his day. I really do believe that. Anywhere in midfield,
is he better than Salah, Boov?
Yeah, he's a better footballer than Salah. Is his numbers better? No. But he's a better footballer. He can do everything better than Salah except finishing. And that's because Salah's more of an athlete. Bernardo Silva's a total footballer. He's a total footballer. He's a Johan Cruyff type of player. And I think you got to do everything you can to keep him. Now, if he goes to Barcelona, Paris, PSG, I get it. 1,000,000%. I'm not sitting there saying anything about those two clubs. The unbelievable cities, experiences. But if he goes to Saudi Arabia, that's a real kick in the teeth to European football.
Boov, Majestic and I, by the way, I just have to say, thank you. I'm surprised there, but finally, an esteemed guest on this show has agreed with me regarding...
Charlie Austin is not going to be happy with either of you, and we'll talk about that soon.
But Boov, do you know what Majestic and I were just talking about? Manchester City have insulated me personally from many harrowing experiences. They've prevented these many harrowing experiences from happening.
I've still got a Man City shirt from last season.
Yeah,
I absolutely have it.
Manchester City have stopped Arsenal winning the league, which I'm very thankful for. They've stopped Tottenham having success. They've stopped Manchester United having success. This is all very important to me because when Chelsea don't win, I'm very happy for City to win it. But Boov, I'm getting slightly concerned, okay, because Mahrez leaving, Bernardo Silva potentially leaving, Gundogan already gone, Kyle Walker already gone, Laporte going to go, Joao Cancelo is probably coming back to go again. Are you losing too many players? And Chelsea aren't going to win the league next year, so I kind of need you to do it. Are you getting concerned at all?
I'm not concerned. I think, look, Gvardiol's going to come in, obviously, in the next couple of days, from all accounts. Suddenly you're looking at it, you're thinking 4 centre-backs, who are all world-class, by the way. Diaz, Stones. Diaz is the best centre-half in the world. Ederson behind them. So you could play 4 centre-backs. This reminds me, by the way, lads, of Tony Pulis. He did this with Stoke. He used to play 4 centre-backs. I don't know if you remember that. But you have those 4 centre-backs, keep it tight, Rodri in midfield, and you just lump it up to Erling Haaland. Obviously in a more beautiful way with Guardiola. But look, who are challenging us? Man United, really? I don't see any threat from them. And Arsenal, the big ones, of course. They spent £105 million on Gareth Barry 2.0. Fair enough. Had they got the bottle, I think last season, they'll be decimated by the fact they spent 247 days at the top of the Premier League table and they weren't able to get over the line. So I think City could just sit there, play it easy. There's no pressure on us. Obviously, we want to win the league next season. There's a demand from the club. There's an excellency from the club to demand the best. But ultimately, the pressure's on Arsenal. They're a massive football institution. They've not won a Premier League in 20 years. So the pressure's on them, not City.
Boovie, I'm getting concerned. Just simply because of the volume of players. It's all very well to say, we've got some brilliant players. You name them there. You've got Erling Haaland up front. Obviously, there's a lot to be positive about. My concern is simply the squad. You have a very small squad, don't you?
It's a little bit thin. You threw a few players in there. I'm not so sure about. I think Bernardo will stay because I don't think Barcelona can come in. I don't think if he's a serious footballer, he's not going to Saudi Arabia.
No, Paris Saint-Germain, Boov. Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, can they afford him in terms of their wage structure? There might be complications with Mbappe. Neymar, if they can't get rid of Neymar, for example, it might be hard. And then Kyle Walker, I think you keep Kyle Walker around. I think the club have offered him a contract. So I don't think I think Laporte didn't play much last season. Mahrez didn't play much last season. Ilkay Gundogan's already he's been replaced by Kovacic. Kovacic was desperate to leave Chelsea. So there's a few. We've got 2 strikers, Alvarez and Haaland. Phil Foden to come in.
As you recognise yourself already, the importance of Mahrez and Gundogan, etc., in those big key games and the big key moments. Who do you then go on to rely on for those moments? Because they might not have started, but who do you replace them with? How do you have that strength in depth? And that is why you was able to get that treble over the line this year, in my opinion, because, I look over to your bench sometimes and Phil Foden sitting on the bench and I'm like, this team is a joke.
Yeah, no, 100%. We got incredible quality in our youth setup. Look at Rico Lewis coming through.
Yeah.
So like Cole Palmer barely featured last season. James McAtee was fantastic for Sheffield United last season. He's someone that could come into midfield, potentially play those League Cup, FA Cup games, with all due respect, when it's sort of lesser opposition. And then you only need one more player. Suddenly our back line's we've got 4 centre-backs who are some of the best centre-backs in the world. And the way we play the game, I don't think you need that many players, because we keep the ball, keep it simple. As long as Erling Haaland's scoring every other game like he does, suddenly it looks a little bit more simplistic. I don't think you need that many players. I think maybe one player comes in to replace Mahrez, even if that's a midfielder, and you keep Bernardo Silva on the right. I don't think it's, but I'm not concerned, lads. I think you lads have got to be concerned about your own clubs.
No, I'm so concerned about my own club that I'm kind of desperate for your club to make sure that Arsenal don't win the league. I'm kind of relying on you, and that's why I'm concerned, Boovie. I'm surprised. Are you expecting some more arrivals then? Is that what this is? Do you think that ultimately, if you lose those 5 or 6 players that we spoke about earlier, the numbers will ultimately level out?
Yeah, I think one of Cole Palmer, McAtee gets more opportunities next season. And then Rico Lewis plays more football. Obviously, he came through last season, played a load of games, and then he taught John Stones how to play that inverted role at points from right back. So Rico Lewis will play more football. And the big one is Phil Foden. He's a generational talent. He's a Paul Gascoigne level talent, Wayne Rooney level English talent, and he barely played at points last season. De Bruyne gets injured. Who comes on? Phil Foden comes on and dictates midfield. No one will talk about it, Phil Foden was exceptional against Inter Milan in midfield in a Champions League final, treble winning side. And that's massively important for England as well, for Gareth Southgate. So City next season, Phil Foden will play a lot more football matches. Bernardo can be put onto the right. Alvarez could even be we used to play Jesus on the right at points, just positionally, just to arrive late in the box, etc. So, Alvarez could play more football on the right as well. It's not majorly concerning.
Boov, thanks a lot. Where can we catch you online? Of course, the club, for those that haven't checked out already, you and Rory over here.
Yeah, the club, and just Boovie on YouTube for more Man City specific content.
All the Man City fans will be flooding there to go hear that Mancunian accent of yours. Love you, Boov. I'll see you soon, my brother.
Cheers, mate.